All right, let's continue our top 30 positional rankings for the 2026 season. We've already done point guard, shooting guard, small forwards, so you guessed it. Today we're ranking the top 30 power forwards for next year's NBA season. And remember, this is not a ranking today here in August. It's how I'm projecting these guys to be in the 2026 season. And I'm going to say the power forward position for the 2026 season is absolutely loaded. And there's going to be one player that's really good that is going to be in the center list, and that is Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. I don't think it's completely set in stone that Bam is going to be the full-time 4 with Ware at the 5. We need to see Spoelstra have a little bit more confidence in Ware, so I'm just going to be a little bit conservative and have Bam in the center video. That's why he's not going to be here today. And like I said, this is an absolutely loaded position. Here are all the honorable mentions I have. Jarris Walker of the Indiana Pacers, Rui Hachimura of the LA Lakers, Gershon Yabusele, the new New York Knick, Aaron Wiggins, the man who saved basketball of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It hurt leaving him off this list. Tobias Harris of the Detroit Pistons, Ryan Dunn of the Phoenix Suns, Kyle Filipowski of the Utah Jazz. Any one of those guys could be between 28 to 30, and I'd be okay with it. So we'll kick things off with number 30, and it is going to be Santi Alama of the Memphis Grizzlies. Somebody that is going to probably have a little bit more playing time next year and a little bit more shot opportunities with Desmond Bane in Orlando. There could be an injury to Jaren Jackson Jr. or Zach Edey to start off the year. Memphis is going to have to rely on somebody they just gave over $40 million to over 3 years this offseason. And Aldama had a breakout year last year. He's been getting better every single year of his career. He shot 48% from the field last year. On the first full season, getting double-digit shot attempts, he shot 37% from 3 on 5 attempts a night and averaged around 12.5 points, 6.5 rebounds. But having somebody that could be a 37% three-point shooter, that's 6'11", that can move very well without the ball in his hands, makes him such a versatile power forward in this league. He is a backup, so he has a ceiling on what he could be in this power forward ranking. But at 24 years old, he's in a good spot. And like I said, it is a loaded position. Like when we get to the top 20, top 15, top 10, these are all-star caliber players. And coming in one spot ahead of Santi Alama, it's going to be a big year 3 for this guy, Jeremy Sohn of the San Antonio Spurs. After the 2023 season, before they got Wemby, he was the main young asset on this team, looked at as a higher piece than maybe somebody like a Keldon Johnson at the time or Devin Vassell. And then they tried to make Jeremy Sohn a point guard in year number 2, and it went very poorly. It did not work out whatsoever, and it resulted into a lot of losses for the Spurs. But last year, we saw strides from Sohn, who was more of a traditional power forward, playing next to Wemby in that front court. He averaged around 11.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 53% from the field, 30% from 3, 69% from the free throw line. I like Sohn's defense, and I really like his ball handling ability for somebody that's 6'8", that could be that Lamar Odom point forward type player here in 2026. It's just what's holding him back from being higher is the three-point shot. A lot of these guys that we're going to talk about today can space the floor. We already talked about Santi Alama. If Jeremy Sohn can't be a consistent three-point shooter north of 33%, and if he's not going to also be just an elite defender, like a top 10 defender at the position, it's really tough to put him much higher than this. So I think there is a limit, and with guys like De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, Castle, Dylan Harper in San Antonio, I'm not too confident Sohn is going to average a career high in points next year. But coming in at number 28, somebody I'm very high on who was in the 2024 draft class, Matas Buzelis of the Chicago Bulls. He's going to be 21 years old on October 13th, right before the season starts. Last year, though, I was so impressed by Matas' game. I thought he was very raw coming out of the G League Ignite, an absolute disaster place to develop. But after the All-Star break, in 27 games, he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists on 58% true shooting, which included a 20% usage rate, good defense, and shot 36% from 3. He's 6'10" that can handle the ball very well for somebody his size. He can get downhill, he can finish at the rim, and he looked good in the summer league as well. He's going to be 21 next year, and in his sophomore year, he's going to have good point guards running the show. I assume Josh Giddey is going to be back. They have Trey Jones. They have Kobe White, I would assume, guys that can get Matas the ball, which is going to do wonders for his development, and I like him a ton next year. And he could end up being one of the best players from that 2024 draft class. Coming in at 27, though, he does have a limit on his offensive ceiling, but he was really good last year, and that is going to be Tari Een of the Houston Rockets. Now, Houston paid a ton of money to Jabari Smith Jr. They brought in Kevin Durant. I just hope that Tari is going to still get his opportunities. I'm not sure if he's going to get double-digit shot attempts. He shot around 9.5 last year. He shot 34% from 3, 48.7% from the field, and Eason did miss some time. He only played 57 games, and I truly believe if Eason Eason played over 65 games, he was definitely making an all-defensive team like his Terra Twin teammate did in Amen Thompson. Eason is as good as you can get on the defensive end of the floor. He's an absolute pest, both in transition and in half court. He can be a point of attack stopper for you. He could be an elite post defender, an elite off-ball help defender as well. He could do it all. He's 24 years old. I wouldn't be shocked if the Rockets extended him before the season started as well, given how valuable his defense can be. And coming in one spot ahead of Tari Eason that I just think has a little bit more offensive upside, PJ Washington of the Dallas Mavericks. He will not be the only Dallas Maverick that we're going to talk about in this ranking. PJ was great yet again for the Mavericks last year when he was healthy. I feel like he got so unlucky with his injury frequency last year. He still ended up playing 57 games, just playing 29 games. And about 32 minutes a night, he shot 45% from the field. Another good three-point shooting season, carrying that momentum from the 2024 playoffs, where he shot 38% from three, around 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.2 stocks a night. Was once again a good defender, where I think everybody saw him on the national stage in the 2024 playoffs, where he was so good defensively against the Clippers, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and even the Boston Celtics at times in the NBA Finals, when nobody saw PJ Washington because he was on some bad Charlotte Hornets teams. I think he's still somewhat of an underrated player. He's going into a contract year as well, so if he doesn't get extended before the season started, maybe we could see a career year for PJ Washington, because the Mavericks will need some scoring upside with Kyrie Irving out till at least January. Coming in one spot ahead of PJ Washington, I do have Jabari Smith Jr. of the Houston Rockets. This is maybe a conservative ranking for Jabari Smith Jr. I mean, he just got over $100 million from the Houston Rockets on an extension. He averaged around 12 points, 7 rebounds, 44% from the field, 35% from three, and 82% from the line last year. Now, Jabari Smith was also so bad to start off the season. In the month of October, he had a 54% true shooting percentage, got better in November, a little bit in December, and then unfortunately he broke his hand, so he was out for a while. He returned in March and shot 38% from three, had a 58% true shooting. The defensive upside, the shot creating for somebody at his size can still be so tantalizing because he's 6'11". He can hold the ball well. Yes, he needs to work on the handle. Yes, he needs to work on the creativity, but hey, playing with Kevin Durant can maybe do wonders for his development as well. So I have him here at 25. He has the potential to be up there closer to 15, but he also has the floor to be outside the top 30. Coming in one spot ahead of Jabari Smith Jr., somebody on a new team this offseason, and that is John Collins of the LA Clippers. Collins last year I thought was a great floor spacing 5, where at times he would play the center spot and he could shoot 40% from 3, but then they could put Walker Kessler out there and he'd be a great stretch 4. He's going to be playing next to Ivica Zubac in the front court, and this is going to be by far the best team John Collins has been on since 2021, where he made it to the conference finals with the Atlanta Hawks. And this is a Clippers team trying to win the NBA Finals in 2025. They were willing to trade away Norman Powell to get an expiring contract in John Collins, who could be a 40% from 3 guy, somebody that didn't take threes at Wake Forest and has turned into a very good floor stretching big at the NBA level, and could be a very nice complementary piece right in between Kawhi Leonard and Ivica Zubac in this lineup. One spot ahead of John Collins, I have Keegan Murray. This is now or never for Keegan Murray, who's going to turn 25 before the season started, and he had somewhat of a down year 3. I feel like Keegan Murray has peaked in his rookie season, where he was 5th in Rookie of the Year voting. He shot 41% from 3, and the volume didn't change in year number 2, and he dropped from 41% to 35.8%. That is a significant drop off for somebody whose main calling card and main skill coming out of Iowa was the 3-point shooting. The difficulty of the shots I don't think has changed either, and I just feel like Keegan Murray hasn't taken those strides that we wanted him after such a productive rookie year. Now, he did average 15 points as a rookie, but last year it was just a disaster in Sacramento, right? They bring in DeMar DeRozan, they fire Mike Brown, they trade away De'Aaron Fox, a lot of moving parts in Sacktown. So hopefully Keegan Murray could just be a little bit better here in year number 4, and that can make him the 23rd best power forward in the league. He's going to be between DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis. And I do appreciate Murray being healthy to start off his career. 80 games as a rookie, 77 games as a sophomore, and 76 games last year in 34 minutes a night. That is an impressive season. And coming in one spot ahead of Keegan Murray, I have Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, this may be the last time Jeremy Grant makes the top 30. I still have no idea how Portland is going to optimize their starting lineup. Is it going to be Tumani Kamara? Is it going to be Sharp, Scoot, Drew, Jeremy Grant? There's so many different lineup iterations Chauncey Billups can deploy next year, but Grant last year was not good. So I'm expecting this to be somewhat of a bounce back year for Jeremy Grant. He went from 21 points per game in 2024 to 14 points per game last year. He's still a good 3-point shooter. He's still a good free throw shooter. And I think he can hold his own defensively. And basically every single year when he broke out for the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2019 to 2024, he shot near or above 45% from the field. And then he shot 37% from the field last year and just 38% on twos. I don't expect that to happen again. Maybe it will. He's 31 years old. He still has a couple years left of this very large contract they gave him in the offseason of 2023. So if he does not bounce back this year, yeah, it's the last time I put him on this list. Coming in at number 21, I have Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets. And coming in at number 20, I have Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Now, the moment I'm recording this, I have no idea what team Jonathan Kuminga is going to be on next year. It could be the Warriors. It could be the Kings. It could be a mystery team. Either way, I still think Jonathan Kuminga has top 20 upside as a power forward, either with Golden State or with a different team next year. I think last year was a disaster for a couple different reasons. In and out of the starting lineup, a couple different injuries, and not really good public press from his head coach Steve Kerr to implement confidence in Jonathan Kuminga. And he's kind of betting on himself right now throughout this offseason with this free agency saga dragging out to at least the middle of August. In 2024, he broke out 53% from the field, 16 points, looked so comfortable out there for the Warriors, even started 46 games. But last year, in 47 games, everything went down. Points, efficiency, rebounds, and I thought the defense wasn't great as well. Maybe it's time for a new home for Kuminga, but I think he has the potential, the athleticism to, like I said, just be on this fringe of a top 20 power forward. He's going to be turning 23 right before the season started, and it could end up being the best year of his career, just depending on the situation. Coming in at 19, maybe solely because of his defensive ability, I have Tumani Kamara of the Portland Trailblazers. I already have Kamara as a top 20 power forward in this league. Last year, 9th in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and finished on all defensive second team. He was unreal in year number 2 for somebody that was drafted with the 52nd pick in the 2023 draft. Kamara looks so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands, and he has such a cool development from Georgia, playing with Anthony Edwards back in 2020 to going to Dayton and then being a second-round pick, being traded in the Nurkic DeAndre Ayton deal, and he ended up being the best player in that trade. He can be a top 10 defender in the sport yet again next year. The offense is getting better. We could see a true breakout year from Kamara next year where he's shooting close to 40% from 3 again, can make an all-defensive team, and can maybe even average 15 points and 7 rebounds a night. He's legit over there in Portland. Coming in at number 18, I have somebody that got extended this offseason. He got over $100 million from the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's 2 words. Naz Reid. Naz Reid last year played 80 games, second straight season playing 80 or more. He averaged 14 points, 6 rebounds, and shot 38% from 3. He started 17 games. He finished 5th and 6th man of the year voting after winning that award after the 2024 season. He is so skilled for somebody that's 6'9", 6'10" with the ball in his hands. He has so many creative dribble moves. He can get to the spots he wants on the floor within the half court, and he can be super versatile. You can put him at the 4, sometimes small ball 5, maybe at the 3 at sometimes, but he's definitely best suited as a stretch 4. And I do believe he belongs to be in this range, but we'll probably have a ceiling on where he could finish because he's behind another Timberwolves power forward that we'll get to in a couple spots. All right, I'm being risky with this one. Coming in at number 17, I have Paul George of the Philadelphia 76ers. He was a power forward in his last year in Los Angeles. He was a power forward last year when he played for Philadelphia. I'm expecting him to be the power forward this upcoming year with Joel Embiid in the front court. Last year was a career worst basically for Paul George since the 2012 season. He averaged 16 points. He shot 35% from 3. He did not get to the free throw line whatsoever compared to the previous years in OKC and Los Angeles. 43% from the field, which is basically the lowest he's had since 2016. And that was his first year of recovering from that gruesome leg injury he suffered in the season prior. But I do think Paul George, if he could just be a little bit healthier, I know he's already wearing a brace and he could be injured before the season started. I just can't think this is it for Paul George. And I'm going to assume he's going to be just a little bit better in 2026. And that could make him a fringe top 15 power forward in this league. You can let me know in the comments what you guys think about Paul George, because this is probably the toughest one. Maybe this is the highest you're going to see in a ranking for power forwards when it comes to Paul George, but I just can't see him being that much worse next year. Coming in one spot ahead of Paul George, I have Draymond Green. Draymond is going to be 36 years old in the month of March next season. We know what he could be, right? He could be a top 10 defender in the sport when he wants to be. He was all defensive first team last year, 3rd in defensive player of the year voting. He played 68 games, just under 30 minutes a night, but is not an efficient offensive player. 42% from the field, 32% from 3, and 68% from the free throw line is very negative on the offensive end of the floor. That's a 53% true shooting, but he makes up for it with the creativity as a passer, screen setter, and what he could be as a defender. Still one of the smartest defenders in the NBA, and that's what's bumping up Draymond here to number 16, because the offensive scoring ability, he's not even close to top 30, but as a playmaker, as a rebounder, and as a defender, defender warrants him close to a top 15 spot. I'm expecting a little bit of regression at 36 years old, but he's still going to be one of the best power forwards in the game, or at least a top 16 one. Coming in at number 15, I have Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets. Now, Aaron Gordon definitely gets that Nikola Jokic bump, but he was great last year for the Orlando Magic. I know he's making a ton of money, but he averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds, shot 53% from the field, 43% from 3. Those are miles better numbers than Draymond Green on the offensive end of the floor, at least as a scorer. He's also a crafty passer as well. He can get you 3 assists a night. He's great in that dunker spot next to Nikola Jokic, and he was phenomenal for the Nuggets in the playoffs. In round number 1, he averaged 19 points and 6 rebounds against the Clippers in 7 games. And then in round number 2, he averaged around 13.5 points and 9.5 rebounds, shot 44% from 3 on 34 attempts, and unfortunately, he was basically playing on one hamstring for game 7 of round number 2. I think a healthy Aaron Gordon can definitely be a top 15 power forward next year, and I'm excited to watch him play with Cam Johnson as the forwards around the Joker. Coming in at number 14, I have OG Anunoby of the New York Knicks. OG is now the power forward for the Knicks with Cat as the center, so Cat will be in that center ranking video. I had Mikal Bridges in the small forward ranking, and Anunoby had the best year of his career last year and was another elite defender for the New York Knicks. He averaged 18 points in his first full year in the Big Apple. He shot 47.5% from the field, 37% from 3 on 6 attempts a night, 81% from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and averaged around 2.5 stocks a night. He played 74 games, which tied his career high, which he set back in 2018 in his rookie season with the Toronto Raptors. OG Anunoby is as good as you can get as a two-way player in this league. I'm expecting the workload to go down a little bit this year under Mike Brown, so they could hopefully ramp him up fully in the playoffs next season. But coming in one spot ahead of OG, I have his former teammate, Julius Randle of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last season, Julius Randle finally proved to everybody he's not a playoff flopper. He was terrible against the Hawks in 2021 with the Knicks. He didn't have a lot of help. In 2023, he was banged up in the playoffs, was inefficient in both those series, but last year for the Timberwolves, healthy and having a co-star in Anthony Edwards, he was great. 48 from the field, 39 from 3 against the Lakers in round number 1, 53% from the field against the Warriors in round number 2, and averaged 25 points a night. He was getting anything he wanted against Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and the Warriors. He did come back down to earth a little bit against the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, wasn't as effective, but still shot 48% from 3. Randle got a nice 3-year contract extension this offseason. He's 30 years old, he's a good point forward, he plays very hard, and he's also somebody that's very reliable as well. Plays around 70 games a season, and I think will be good yet again in 2026. Somebody I'm a little bit lower on, but I still think is a very good player, Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. Markkanen's games played and points per game have been going down and down since his breakout year in 2023 for Utah, and I don't expect Utah to be much better next year. I still think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, so I'm not sure how much Markkanen is going to be impactful throughout the course of the season. Last year, he shot 42% from the field, 34 from 3. Colin Sexton's in Charlotte, Jordan Clarkson's in New York, John Collins, who we talked about earlier, is with the Clippers. So he's not going to have a lot of proven help around him, at least on the offensive end of the floor. So that may result in Markin taking some bad shots and having to play hero ball at times. So that's why I'm a little bit cautious with his rating coming in at number 12. And coming in at number 11, man, just having him at 11 is kind of crazy because I think he could be an all-star next year, and that is Jaylen Johnson with the Atlanta Hawks. Unfortunately, Jaylen Johnson, who was breaking out fully last year, had a season-ending shoulder injury after tearing his labrum in his left shoulder back in January, which is a real shame because, like I said, I thought he was on his way to being an all-star or at least a fringe all-star. 19 points, an elite rebounder at his position, 10 rebounds a night, 5 assists, 2.6 stocks. He's a really good two-way player and a freakish athlete as well. Runs the floor extremely well. He's going to be turning 24 years old in December and is a great co-star to Trae Young in Atlanta. Somebody that can guard multiple positions, that could just be a great athlete and defender around Trae Young, but also could be a good co-star offensively. We know Dyson Daniels, Reese Hashay, Naw, Kristaps could be good defenders as well. But in my opinion, the Atlanta Hawks can go as far as Jaylen Johnson can take them as a number 2 next year. And it was wild that he was coming in at number 10, but I have Scotty Barnes at the Toronto Raptors, somebody I am high on next year as well. Scotty's going to be 24 years old throughout the course of next year's season, but it's just this position is so loaded. So if you think Scotty should be higher than this ranking, let me know who I have ahead of Scotty that you think should be ranked behind Scotty. Last year, Scotty had a down year though. 44% from the field, 27% from 3, 75% from the free throw line. Was not very good in the amount of volume he had as the number 1 scorer, but he's still a very good defender. I think an underrated defender, a very good passer. He could run the point, and I wish we could see, and maybe we will, more point Scotty Barnes next year with quickly playing off ball, Ingram playing off ball, and maybe RJ Barrett doesn't need to be on the floor for that, where you can open up the floor, allow Scotty to go to work, getting his teammates involved, and getting downhill and finishing at the rim. I think Scotty's going to be more efficient next year because he was banged up at times last year, and I think we could see an improving Barnes in Toronto in year number 5. But coming in at number 9, he's technically a power forward now. I have Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder. This may be low in your opinion for Chet, but I'm a little hesitant on Chet just because of the injury history. Now, it's crazy. He did not play a single game in his real rookie season because of an off-season Drew League injury against LeBron James, and then he plays 82 games in year number 2, and then suffers a hip injury last year in 2025. But at Chet's size, you got to be a little bit nervous about every time he hits the ground, but he was great last year when he played. 49% from the field, an elite 3-point shooting big man yet again, 38% from 3, 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks a night. But this position is absolutely loaded, so it is wild that I have him at number 9. But just listen to the names I have ahead of him. And like Chet, my number 8 guy got extended this offseason, Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, this one could come back and bite me just because Jackson Jr. might miss the start of next year's season with an injury. We'll see, and that never goes well, especially with guys in Memphis. They've been very unlucky with offseason injuries as of late, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be the full-on number 2 now. Desmond Bane is in Orlando. Jackson Jr. should get more shots per game next year. He played under 30 minutes a night. Can we play him more than that? I know he gets into foul trouble, right? Still averages around 3.5 fouls a game, but he's still an elite defender, all defensive second team last year, an all-star, shot 37.5% from 3, and I think John Morant's going to be better next year, and I think that will result in Jaren Jackson Jr. being a top 10 power forward in the league yet again. Coming in at number 7, also an injury asterisk on this one. There's a chance he doesn't even end up in the top 30 because he may only play 30 games. But if he's healthy, I think he'd be really good. Zion Williamson coming in at number 7. If Zion actually played 65 games, I'd probably have him at number 3. It's just I can't say with confidence that he's going to play that many. Now, for the last few years, he goes back and forth. He played 61 games in 2021, didn't play in 2022, 29 games in 2023, but healthy in 2024, 70 games, but then 30 games last year. So hopefully he's healthy this year because he could truly be one of the most dominant forces on the floor when he's healthy. Opposing teams need to double team him, and he can still be so efficient inside. And now he's got some elite shooters around him, and Trey Murphy and Jordan Poole, and he can kick it out to one of these guys. And I also love watching Point Zion as well. Back-to-back years averaging 5 assists a night. Zion's an incredible player. He just needs to stay healthy, which has been the storyline of his career. Coming in at number 6 is somebody that's also going to be maybe a new number 1 option next year, and that is going to be Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers. He was kind of the number 1 option last year because Tyrese Haliburton can sometimes just be a pass-first player, but Haliburton out all of next year. Miles Turner's in Milwaukee. The Indiana Pacers need Pascal Siakam to be in number 1 if they want to make the playoffs next year. And Siakam was an all-star yet again last year. It's just a 20-point per game night consistently. And that's what he's been since 2020. And he was consistent for the Pacers yet again in the playoffs as well. In round number 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks, he averaged around 20 points, 18 points against the Cavs in round number 2, 25 points per game against the Knicks in round number 3, and 19 points against the Thunder in round number 4. I think he's a very high-end number 2. And let's see if we could be a low-end 1 this year, but I'm going to give respect and the confidence in him. He's going to be 31 years old for most of the season. He's coming off being maybe the number 1 at times for a team that made it to the NBA Finals. Let's see what Siakam can do next year as the number 1 in Indy. Coming in at number 5, though, it's just a loaded top 5. I have Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think one day he'll eventually be in my center rankings, but he's still a power forward with Jared Allen there for the Cavs right now. And he won DPOY last year. Now, he probably was not going to win DPOY if Wemby didn't get hurt. But he was incredible, though. He finished as an all-star, all-NBA second team member, was the second most important player on a team that won 64 games, all defensive first team, 37% from 3 for somebody that's essentially 7 feet tall, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. And I just thought the offensive creation, the trust in his ball handle, getting downhill, and the 3-point shot was just incredible to watch for Mobley last year, playing off of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Helped his development out so much, and he's still just 24 years old. There's a chance he could end up as number 2 by the end of the season. I think that's not as likely, but I think the floor is maybe 6 or 7 if Zion can stay healthy. So coming in at number 4, I'm going to have somebody that's going to be 41 years old in December. I have LeBron James. I don't want to think this is the last year of LeBron James's career. I don't want to think that LeBron's best days are behind him, but I got to be a little bit cautious here because the guys basically ahead of LeBron are all a decade younger than him, and one guy's even like 18 years younger than him. So LeBron coming in at number 4 is me being a little bit conservative yet again, just because he's going into year number 23, 41 years old. It's just something we may never see again because he was 40 last year after December 30th, and he still averaged 24.5 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 51, 38, 78 splits for a team that was a 3 seed in a loaded Western Conference. I'm not sure what LeBron is fully going to play this year. He bounced back and forth last year between the 3 and the 4. You assume Luka's going to be the 1, Reeves at the 2. Maybe they need Marcus Smart or Laravia out there for defense, so LeBron will be the 4 with Aiden at the 5. Either way, though, I do think he could still be a top 5 power forward, which is crazy, absolutely mind-blowing to say for somebody that's going to be 41 years old on December 30th. Coming in at number 3, though, somebody I've been hyping up all offseason long. He's been mentioned in a bunch of videos. Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. Yeah, Paolo's 22 years old. He's 18 years younger than LeBron James, and they're 1 spot apart. Paolo last year, with an injury, still averaged 26 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he was one of the best players in the NBA, point blank period, after the All-Star break when he was fully healthy. From February on, he could be an elite playmaker for somebody his size. He can get to the free throw line at an elite rate as well. If he could just touch up the 3-point shot and could just be a little bit better at the free throw line, he can actually average 30 points per game at one point in his career, and he can get close to it next season. So another risky one, coming in at number 2, I have Anthony Davis. AD only played 51 games last year, 42 games with the Lakers, and just 9 games with the Dallas Mavericks after getting traded in the infamous Luka Doncic deal. Now, AD wasn't great, but he was still good after the trade. He only averaged 20 points. He averaged 10 rebounds. He was so good, though, in that Rockets game, in his first game in Dallas, and I was so excited to watch AD over the second half with the Mavericks, and then unfortunately suffered an abdominal injury and was out most of the rest of the season, came back for 8 games, but wasn't at 100%, and the Mavericks really weren't accomplishing too much either. But I do think AD could still be a top 5 defender in the sport. I still believe he could be a top 3 power forward in the sport. I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. If he's healthy next year, he could be a top 2 power forward in the league, but obviously he's got a lower floor because of his injury history, which could probably bump him out of the top 15. But coming in at number 1, super easy still, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's really no debate about this, right? Because there's, I feel like, a consensus top 3 players in the league. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was number 1 in my point guard video, and somebody out there in the state of Colorado. But Giannis is kind of underrated at this point. Like, he put up 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6.5 assists, was an elite mid-range shooter, and a really good defender yet again last year. I feel like people didn't talk about it enough. 3rd in MVP voting, 8 in DPOY voting, an all-star, all-NBA first team. Like, Giannis is going to be as good as a defender as an MVP candidate can get, and that's why I just love watching Giannis Antetokounmpo any given night. He's going to have no Damian Lillard this year. Maybe this could be his last year in Milwaukee. We'll see, but he's 30 years old. He's still in his prime. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be all-NBA first team if he could stay healthy, and who knows? Maybe he's a surprise DPOY winner this year, but he's an absolute beast and the best power forward in the NBA in 2026, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below. You guys will see my top 30 centers very soon, and then my top 50 rankings for the 2026 season. So make sure you are subscribed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.